There's so much that the NBA media was wrong about this year. Yes, we will get to Bol Bol in a second, but the number one thing people were wrong about is Zion Williamson. And don't say, oh, we always knew he was going to be special. His entire character was attacked all last year. The number one Zion picture was either this or this. That's who Zion was to the media. Pelicans fear Zion weighs over 300 pounds. But the worst moment was when his own ex-teammate JJ Redick said this on national TV.
Like, this just shows a complete lack of investment in your team, in the organization, in the city. I get that he's hurt and away from the team. This is a pattern of behavior with Zion that we are seeing again and again. And look, I was his teammate. I can describe him as a detached teammate.
Wow. I honestly think JJ just felt like he had to have like a super hot take sitting there with Stephen A. Smith. He is so much more genuine on his own podcast. But there were rumors that Zion might not even re-sign in New Orleans. But he is the best player to watch this season. Better than Giannis, better than Steph. Brandon Ingram got injured in late November, and since then, Zion is averaging 30 points, 9 boards, and 5 assists. They put the ball in his hands, and it forces the defense to collapse on him, which creates easy looks for his teammates. We always worry about Zion's defense. The Pels are number 6 offensively, number 3 on D in the league. This is the new Pelicans. They are dominant enough to win the West, especially when BI comes back. But experts predicted the Trailblazers would finish 11th with a ceiling of 9th. Basically, everybody had Portland as an afterthought. Cute little team, but not that serious. Turns out, Jeremy Grant was the best trade of the offseason. They dealt CJ McCollum, Larry Nance, Norman Powell last year. It would have been so easy to just start over and rebuild at that point. Remember that tweet that said, Damian Lillard will request a trade in the days to come? Well, it's been like over 500 days. Instead, they used the CJ trade and a first to get Jeremy Grant, who is having his best season ever. Not only is he their MVP, he's their best defender. And they used the money they saved to re-sign Anthony Simons and Yusuf Nurkic. Shaedon Sharpe is legit. Everyone was wrong about the Blazers. But it was a gigantic story when ESPN predicted the Warriors would be in 8th place at about 42 wins. This poor analytics guy, Kevin Pelton, was getting so much hate.
Yeah, I wanted to go off on Kevin Pelton, and this is a perfect example of why analytics should be a small part of basketball.
Turns out the predictions were right. In fact, if the Warriors continue on this pace, they will have just 39 wins, even worse than predicted. The lazy take was like, oh, they've got Steph Curry, how bad could it get? Well, Steph is playing like an MVP, and they're 11th on offense, but their big problem is defense. The Dubs may have changed the game shooting threes, but their secret foundation this whole time has been Elite D. Every championship year, they were one of the best. In 2018, they slipped to 11th, but they went to number 1 in defense in the playoffs. This year, it is below average at 19th. This is what happens when you lose players like Gary Payton II and Otto Porter, plus a coach like Mike Brown. I think they have to make a trade to prove ESPN's preseason prediction wrong. But the dumbest prediction I have ever made 3 years on this channel was that the Grizzlies were a fraud. I thought losing Kyle Anderson and DeAnthony Melton would matter. Jaren Jackson Jr. would be out for too long. Desmond Bane was a fluke. I said the only reason that they got the second best record last year was because of injuries in the West. It turns out they are for real, and I look stupid. Not only did Triple J return faster than expected, he has been so good on defense that before his return, they were 20th in D, 14th in blocks per game. After he's come back, 6th in defense, number 1 in blocks. He could win Defensive Player of the Year. John Conchar and Santi Aldama, 2 role players who are just stepping up. It feels like this Grizzlies front office can always just find some random dude off the street to be an impact player. Before Bane got injured, he was playing like an all-star. Clearly, he can be one of the best players on the championship team. But the most mind-blowing stat, Ja Morant, Desmond Bane, and Triple J haven't played on the court together 1 minute this season. Imagine how dangerous they are going to be. I am officially sorry to any Grizzly fan out there. But we had no idea how the Ime Udoka scandal was going to affect the Boston Celtics. Their own legends had serious doubts about this year.
Your general is not going to be there for a whole year. Just think about all that promise, all that investment they took on getting to the finals and what that year was like. Y'all been there? Man, it's hard as shit to get to the finals. And think about going home as a loser and going home on vacation and every time you see somebody being reminded of that shit.
I love Paul Pierce's face, by the way, right there. He's having flashbacks, just like, yeah, this could really suck. Kind of reminds me of the Alonzo Mourning meme. But the reason that they were able to overcome all of that and look this good is a strong culture. I know culture, what does that mean? But can you imagine this happening to a team like the Kings or the Timberwolves? They would melt down. The Celtics are one of the most rock-solid organizations from front office to their history. Not many teams can withstand a blow like this. Last year in the finals, their offense got so bad against the Warriors, it would have ranked 28th in the NBA. This season, their offense is number 1 in NBA history. First all time in offensive rating and true shooting percentage. 6th in free throw percentage, but the engine to all of it is threes. They have 3 of the top 10 three-point shooters in the NBA. Jason Tatum is favored to win MVP, and this is all before Robert Williams gets back. But before we get to Bol Bol, the Timberwolves went all in, and people thought they were actually going to win a lot in the regular season. The Ringer said they would have a top 5 defense. Turns out it's more like top 15. Chemistry with Karl Anthony Towns is off. Gobert has been so bad, he is averaging 1.3 blocks per game. That is the lowest since his rookie year when he barely played. One of their biggest issues is penetration from the perimeter. Sound familiar? The exact same problem in Utah. But the Wolves gave up so much to get Rudy Gobert. This is already looking like one of the worst trades in NBA history. The good news, at least D'Angelo Russell is playing better, but Minnesota is embarrassing. Unlike Bol Bol, who the experts were still clowning this week.
Bol Bol deserves to be somewhere in this.
Wow,
and
Bol Bol.
I'm not even kidding.
You hear Bill Simmons can't even believe that his friend is bringing up Bol Bol on his podcast, but that same night, Bol Bol did this.
Bol with the spin move and the step through and drops the hammer. That's going to bring the roof down at the Amway Center.
What? The clips that compare Bol Bol to Victor Wembanyama are serious. What's going to happen if they're on the same team next year? Bol Bol fell in the draft because he hurt his foot in college, and the history of big men with foot problems in the NBA means that nobody wants to touch them. So, when he hurt his foot again in the league, he didn't speak up. It was only after the Nuggets tried to trade him to Detroit that they found out he was even injured. It was so bad it required surgery. But now he is healthy for the first time and he's getting minutes and he's showing that unbelievable potential. We know he's tall and he can handle, like we get that, right? But all that stuff translates for a guy his height into one NBA skill. Bol Bol does not need an assist to score. And that is such a rare skill. He's in the top isolation scorers. Only guys like Kevin Durant can do that. Now, one team I did not mention is the Phoenix Suns. People thought that the Robert Sarver scandal and the whole DeAndre Ayton mess would derail them, right? Then they started off really hot. It looked like everybody was wrong. But lately, they have lost a ton of games. Now, Chris Paul is proving again that he is the dirtiest player in the NBA. Check it out.